Happy New Year! This is my first video I'm posting up on Paradox. I have posted on my second channel, Paradox Style, so please visit. I will always probably refer to it as Style. Okay, I'm a little rusty. I hope you love the hair. You know, my birthday passed. You know, I turned a hot old 24. Ooh, I'm out here getting old, people. I'm out here getting old. But I hope you guys love it because I'm about to get rid of this in a couple of days. So this will be the first video I will be posting up. And of course, my phone decides to ring. Now it's phone. So we're just going to ignore that. What I have today to eat, because we're going to be talking about, if you've seen the title, Faded Winx Saga. So I have little bites right here. Brownies, I only have one left because I ate. And I got some good old water. So, as you've seen by the title, I'm basically going to talk about how Faded Winx Saga could actually be good. And I could actually like it. If only it didn't have these qualities. So, just to make this very clear, to establish, I do not actually am a fan. I would not say I'm a fan, and nor am I recommending anybody to go watch the Faded Winx Saga. I'm not recommending this by any means. I'm not recommending this. I'm just going to explain in this video why it can't be good if it was not based off of Winx Club, basically. So the dislikes in this show, as obviously it is a live action of the Winx Club, and the main things that everyone was upset about is no transformation. Why was there no transformation? The outfits were bad. They're like, Winx Club is supposed to be a very fashion heavy show, and the way they really express high, quote unquote high fashion. I really wouldn't say high fashion, but very fashionable is in the transformations, which you completely cut out. So during the live action, you should have switched up their regular outfits then. If they were not going to have transformation, you should have switched up their outfits regularly. And they didn't start looking good until maybe episode 3. And I'll probably post a couple of pictures, little shots of how I like some of their outfits. I will not be referring Aisha as for Aisha. I will be referring her as Layla because I think it's ridiculous. Nickelodeon was the one who changed the name from Aisha to Layla. Because I have never, out of all 3 seasons, the first 3 whole seasons, she has never been referred as Aisha. It did not change until Nickelodeon started taking it over. And it changed to Aisha. Because her name was Layla. For 3 whole seasons, her name was Layla. Why y'all changing her name? For what? For why? And why only her? Come on, people. Why only? Why? 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 And why Aisha? Why? Why that name? Come on. So, I didn't like that they didn't have enough magic in it. It was very weird. Like Winx Club, magic, just in your face, in your face, in your face. Even if it was a little bit of magic, it was in your face. And you would think, yet again, if there's no transformations, there should be heavy on the magic. You should be seeing magic everywhere in the background. You should just see objects flying. Maybe y'all didn't have the budget for it, but yet again, y'all could have put your budget somewhere else. Love triangle. I did not understand why they made. I get it, but that wasn't her character. They made essentially Stella into this prissy. She was already prissy. But just this mean girl. You made her into a mean girl. Stella was never a mean girl. Stella was a little ditzy, princessy. You know, she loved fashion. She was kind of in her head a lot. And it made sense because she was the princess of Solaria. It makes sense. Why did they throw in a love triangle with Sky, Bloom, and Stella. What? Stella had her own man. Stella had her own man. She had her whole own man. Don't make no sense. She had her own man. Everybody had their own man. There was no need for a love triangle. You just threw that in there, just threw it in there. Made no sense. It was stupid. And then towards the end, they got back. They got together. I'm just like, what? Like suddenly they just got back together. It didn't make no sense. I hope my battery doesn't die because I literally charged this. Why are you dying? The original villain wasn't really in there. Like they kind of made an old headmistress into a villain. From what I know, I've never heard. From what I remember, yet again, I watched Winx Club when I was a kid, so I've been watching in a couple of years. But there was never this old headmistress that became a villain, and especially a woman. Like they had the whole thing with the burn ones, which they had in the show, kind of like that with the demon guy, and that was around the 3rd season, and that was a big deal. Like that was a very big deal because he was winning, and they hyped it up, and they build this up. I feel like they over explained way too much in this season 1, because I feel like they're trying to just get all the plot lines from 1 to 3 out in this first season. And no, like they took time. They made Bloom. I watched a video on this person who had never seen Winx, which yet again, what her name was, Amanda something, Amanda the Jedi. Ma'am, watch the show. Please do watch the show. If you gonna talk about the live action, watch the show. Watch the show. At least watch a couple of episodes. Watch some recaps. Something like that. Before you just go start talking about a live action version of a show is based off of. But she right in the sense of it's not good. It's not a good version of the Winx Club. Now if it was a separate entity and it was a completely different show and it was based off of fairies that had nothing to do with Winx Club, fine. The whitewashing, obviously. We gotta talk about that. Whitewashing. They took away Flora. They took away Musa. Musa was supposed to be Chinese. Flora was supposed to be Hispanic. Took those away. Great that she was plus size, but why couldn't you make Flora plus size and Hispanic? There are plus size Hispanic women. They exist. They could have did that. I was going to talk about why Rebel was British, but I feel like it makes sense because it was made overseas. It wasn't made in America. So I was like, okay, that kind of works. So I let that go. On to the good stuff. Okay, there's a plus size character, as I said. That is good representation, but you do not whitewash to make up. You don't add a plus size to make up for the whitewashing that you did. Musa's love interest. I was never a big fan of Ribbon, and then I stopped watching after season 5 or 4 of Winx Club when they continued making seasons because it just became more and more trashier. Apparently they broke up. I was like, that's good. Ribbon has matured. He realized we ain't working. Why does my phone keep ringing in the background? I don't understand. Please ignore my phone. I was never a fan of Ribbon because I feel like their relationship was never really good. It was always this back and forth, pull and pull. Ribbon was not nice. Out of all the guys, he was not nice. I was just like, why is she with him? I never understood it. Never, just, it was never a thing for me. So Sam, in live action, I was like, oh, I like Sam. Sam was nice. I like the fact of the matter is that there was male fairies and there was female specialists. So I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. I didn't necessarily hate the fact of the matter is that specialists were only men and fairies were only women. I guess girl power. I was never, because I was never not a fan of that. It was a nice change, I guess, of pace to where women were kind of more empowered than men. It was kind of nice, but not really. Like, they still worked together. It was just a it was a subtle, women have more power than men, but it's normal. So I never really hated that, and it was never like a prominent thing in Winx Club. But I did love that. I think it was kind of like you know, girl power like they had in Powerpuff Girls. I know I'm rambling a little bit, but you know, Powerpuff Girls was always like a good showcase of girl power. Like they were just abnormally strong. Even guys watch Powerpuff Girls. Even boys watch Powerpuff Girls. And they were girly as heck, but they actually had powers. It was where they were kicking butt and still painting their nails at the same time, showing diversity. Girls do not have to be all the way a tomboy to all the way a girly girl. And I feel like Bloom was the in between from tomboy and girly girl. Bubbles, she was all the way girly, just girly everything, girly voice. And then obviously Buttercup was full on tomboy all day, every day. Did not just give me the weapons, give me the swords, give me all those things. So I love that. Good representation of girls and showing how girls have a different, I hate using a word because I feel like the word's overused, but a spectrum of girls. It's like girls do not fit in this one little box. Okay, moving on. Musa being a mind fairy. I don't hate that. That is a like for me because it makes sense. Excuse me, in a live action. I know in the cartoon it was cool, but I want to say kind of realistically, it makes sense for her to be a mind fairy instead. Because a music fairy, I'm like, okay, yes and no. Like, I couldn't really see how that exactly would work in a live action. Because, like, okay, how could she manipulate sound then? Because they say music, I'm like, I'm assuming that would automatically translate to sound. So, could she have super strong hearing? It just makes sense she's a mind fairy. To me, in my head, it makes sense that it wouldn't make her a mind fairy. And then it would use music, or she's always listening to music because she's trying to tune out everyone's emotion. To me, it just makes sense. It makes perfect sense. And then it ties in so greatly when they talk about her mom and how she felt her mom's death. Like, the quote-unquote dark or more mature view. That was a positive for me. Because the drugs, the butt stuff, the cursing, all that's, like, trivial to me. I'm like, I understand. Of course, they're teenagers. That makes sense. But let's kind of make them mature teenagers. Like, you're just throwing in random sex stuff. It was just like, okay. Like, these are fairies. They live in a different world. They're training. I understand they're still teenagers. Like, they can still have their teenager stuff. But I was just like, ugh. They just made it typical. I'm like, okay. It's just like, okay. That made more sense to me. Her being a chain link. I forgot how they explain why she. I think the way they explain it is because her sister was the one to drop her off in the New World to protect her. I think that's how it went. You could have kept that storyline. To be quite honest, you could have kept that storyline. You didn't need to add in which they never really explained why it was that big of a deal. Why she's a chain link. Like, why is it so bad that they swap out the children? Like, what was the whole premise of it? Like, what did they do with the human child? Like, I don't. They try to make it into like a scary thing, and I was like, but how is it scary? Like, swapping out babies don't sound good, but I'm like, well, how is it really bad, and why are they doing it? What is the purpose of switching the children? They didn't tell us. They didn't explain the why. They didn't explain what. I think I talked about Musa, talking about the male fairy. Okay, the relationship with the parent. I like that they show more of Stella's relationship, because they when they started opening more up on Stella Live, that was, I think that was towards like season 2, season 3, where they started like really diving into Stella as she is as a princess. They kind of like explain like how she did have trouble, and she had like a sister or a rival, the one that was blonde, but she had like the red thing on, red heart thing. Like they're talking about her, how her mom was abusive. I'm like, that makes sense why she's a mean girl, I guess. Um, I don't know. It's just, yeah, uh, it's just they didn't have a lot of bonding moments. They weren't like they didn't. The friends, just it was a lot. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. It's not Winx. It's just not Winx Club. It's really not. You know what I mean? They got along great. They were friends. They were legitimately friends. And I'm just like, they just, the separate thing, like Aisha just being desperate to get Bloom's attention. I just didn't like that. Like Aisha was cool. Layla, ugh, Layla was not like that. Layla, number one, Layla was like the second to last addition to the Winx Club. So I'm like, Layla was out here just, smart, doing her studies, doing her thing, and she wasn't desperate to make friends. I think she did want to make friends, but I don't think she was like desperate to be Bloom's friend. Like she was so desperate to be Bloom's friend. Like for what? Just for what? It just didn't make no sense. And then, uh, the plot line, this just for the headmistress, like why she did the things she did, why did she? Hello, I'm sitting here thinking I'm recording. I'm not recording yet again, guys. Listen, don't like it. It's not for me. Remakes, spin-offs, they usually are not as good as the original. I cannot believe I was talking to this camera this whole entire time, and I was not recording. But yet again, I hope you guys love my hair. I hope you guys love this video. Please like, tell me all your thoughts. Tell me what you did actually like about the Faded Winx Saga. Yeah, Faded Winx Saga. Alright guys, thanks. Bye.